Hello everyone and welcome to the full series. This will be a movie-length video of a completed series of what if Broly was King Vegeta's son. How would this huge change affect the story from Dragon Ball all the way into the manga? There is a title card on top where there is a playlist of all my other full series if y'all are interested in watching. Now grab a snack while watching this or have it play in the background while you are working, and let's dive into the completed story of what if Broly was King Vegeta's son. We start this story with the birth of Broly and Vegeta, since within the Super Broly movie, Broly is born around the same time as Vegeta. When King Vegeta learns about Broly and his power, this is where the story changes. Instead of wanting to get rid of Broly, King Vegeta wants to get rid of his own son, Vegeta, and replace him with Broly. Paragus would hear this and would be appalled as he wasn't going to allow it, but King Vegeta would just kill Paragus right then and there so that no one else would try to stop him. King Vegeta would claim Broly and make him the new Vegeta. Now, to avoid confusion, Broly is still being called Broly, and the same goes for Vegeta. But if we were going story-wise, Broly would actually now be called Vegeta. Now, King Vegeta would have to think about what to do with his now disowned son. And here, he would think of just sending him to a faraway planet, which would be Vampa. But someone would change his plan, and that would be Vegeta's mother. Now, I know we got nothing on her character or even if she exists, but for this story, we will still use her here as she will play a role for Vegeta's new future. She overheard what King Vegeta was planning to do with their son, and she did not like it. So, she would wait one night and sneak Vegeta out and put him in a space pod and send him to a weak and safe planet away from planet Vegeta, which is called Planet Namek. Vegeta's mother would cover up what she did with Vegeta and told King Vegeta that she just sent him to a faraway planet and put up an act to show that she thought Vegeta was a disappointment. Going onwards, Broly would be treated as royalty, and we don't know exactly what Vegeta did as a kid and how he was raised, but Broly would be raised like how Vegeta was, and he would slowly develop the same personality as Vegeta, but I would say that he's a bit kinder than Vegeta, at least towards his comrades. He would be trained, and this is when King Vegeta grows proud of Broly, as King Vegeta would see the immense power that Broly has, but he would try to keep it a secret from Frieza, and makes Broly hold back as he thinks if Frieza would learn about it, he would try to kill Broly if he learns about this power. Broly would still be with Nappa and Raditz and basically just replace Vegeta, as even they think that Broly is King Vegeta's real first son. Even though Nappa has some questions as he did hear rumors of what King Vegeta did. Broly would still work under Frieza, as Frieza does see a lot of use for Broly, as he would be much stronger than Vegeta as a kid. For now, we will strive away from Broly and focus on Vegeta. Like we said earlier, he would be sent to a safe planet away from planet Vegeta, as he would end up on planet Namek. His space pod would be surrounded by Namekians as they are curious to know who this is. When they see a young infant, they would bring it up with the elder guru. The baby Vegeta is pretty rowdy, but with its age and the Namekians being a peaceful race, they decided that they will raise it and domesticate it. Nail would be its main guardian, and he would look after Vegeta, with teaching him the basics of knowledge and etiquette. There would be food for Vegeta as Namekians do grow vegetables on their planet, so Vegeta would just be a vegetarian. He would also do a lot of sparring, as we knew before, Nail's power level is around 45,000 in the Namek Saga, and it's safe to say that it's still the same now. The young Vegeta is roughly around 10,000, so Nail would be a lot stronger. Nail would be able to take on Vegeta's temper after a few training sessions, as they would both grow as fighters, and Vegeta would see Nail as an older brother. Planet Vegeta would still have made the same fate as normal, and Broly with Raditz and Nappa would also avoid the early fate of the rest of the Saiyans, and Goku would still be sent off to Earth, and the story of Dragon Ball remains the same. Now we move up to the time where Z begins. We see Broly's crew grown up, as Broly is now the leader of the trio, with Broly being stronger than Vegeta at this point, so with his two comrades. For an estimate, this would be the power level of the three. Broly was sent around a power level of 75,000, holding back as he still does so after his father King Vegeta explained why he should hold back his true power. But if he wasn't holding back, he would stand at a power level of 150,000. Nappa would be at a power level of 50,000, and Raditz would stand at a power level of 30,000. The bond between the three would be more friendly than just Raditz and Nappa being the lackeys of Vegeta. Broly and the others would still be planning to take over Frieza, and Raditz would talk about his younger brother, and now he was sent to a planet called Earth. Broly would think that's a good idea to get more manpower. The difference here would be that they would all head to Earth. All three of them would arrive on Earth at the time that Raditz would arrive in the canon timeline. With their strength, it would completely freeze all the fighters that can sense him. For Goku, this is the first time he felt fear, as the power he senses is something else. The Saiyans would pick up two strong power levels and would head to Piccolo first, but this time Piccolo wouldn't dare to fight them, and they are surprised to see a Namekian here. Raditz shows off a bit of his strength and would gut punch Piccolo, but this would actually kill him right then and there. Broly was a little upset at Raditz for killing needlessly, but they would just brush it off and they would continue on to the other power level. They do wonder why Goku never conquered the planet, but they would ask him once they would make it to his location. We now go back to Vegeta, as he spent the last 2 decades on Namek. Growing up, he grew quite strong early on, with even making Nail grow stronger as well. After a decade of living on Namek, when he was a young adult, it came to the time where Vegeta began questioning about where his origins are from, as he knows he isn't from Namek. Growing up to be a respectable boy, Guru allowed him to gather the Dragon Balls to grant him his wish to learn of his past. With Porunga, he had 3 wishes. He wished to first know about how he ended up on planet Namek, as Porunga explained how his own father replaced him with another who was stronger than him, and how King Vegeta wanted to send him off far away to a dangerous planet, but it was his mother who sent him to Namek. This whole revelation brings Vegeta to his knees, not understanding why. He couldn't believe it. He was royalty from where he came from, but just because he was weak, he was replaced by his own father. Nail tried to comfort him, but Vegeta got back up and asked where his father is. Porunga would explain how he met his fate by a tyrannical ruler named Frieza, and then proceeded to destroy planet Vegeta. The more Vegeta learned about his past and his race, the more broken he got, and anger began to fill his body. His last wish was to know everything about the Saiyan who replaced him. Porunga would go into detail about BROLY, even explaining his immense potential, and how he could be the legendary Super Saiyan. Hearing about how powerful BROLY is shocked Vegeta, but he would use this anger and rage to strive to become stronger than BROLY. Vegeta may not know about the legend of the Super Saiyan here, but he will strive to attain that power as well, and use the Dragon Balls another time to learn about this legend. Nail and Elder Guru would warn Vegeta not to go down the path of vengeance, especially since it's not BROLY's fault for what had happened to him. Vegeta understands, but he has no ill will to BROLY, but he only wants to strive to beat him in battle to prove to himself and his father that he is stronger, and the only reason he isn't going for revenge was because of how they raised him, but he cannot lie that he did feel anger growing within him. Elder Guru could read his mind and know that he is saying the truth right now. At this point, power scaling wise, Vegeta is at a power level of 30,000, with Nail being at a power level of 55,000. This next decade before the start of Z, Vegeta would train a lot harder with Nail, as he has a goal to reach. During the years, he would also learn about the legend of the Super Saiyan, and with how his life had turned out, he believed that he will become the legendary Super Saiyan. Catching up to present time, Vegeta and Nail have grown immensely, with Vegeta going up to a power level of 120,000, and Nail did lose the lead, as he is at the power level of 100,000. During his time training, his anger did develop more and more, and Nail could see it, as he would try to help Vegeta tame it, but during one training match, Vegeta allowed his anger to consume him, as he wanted to try to reach the level of the Super Saiyan, and he did. With his rage, he powered up as a golden aura surrounded him, and a boost in his power came over to him, but it wasn't the Super Saiyan transformation that was described to him. Here, Vegeta obtained the false Super Saiyan form, as even though he is rageful, he still tried to not let that rage consume him. Now, there isn't a confirmed multiplier to false Super Saiyan, as it is not a canon form, but I think a fair multiplier would be half of the actual Super Saiyan multiplier. So here, with his base level of 120,000, with the false Super Saiyan form, if he could obtain it again, it will go up to 3 million. Once he thought he was ready, he would go to Elder Guru for permission to use the Dragon Balls to teleport himself to the whereabouts of BROLY, to challenge him, and promised not to kill him. Elder Guru was unsure of this, but he knew that Vegeta did need to do this so that he can move on with his life, but told them that he will have a day before they bring him back, and if he did kill BROLY, they will send him far away alone on a planet, and Vegeta would understand. Using the Dragon Balls, he would teleport himself to BROLY, and at this point, BROLY and his crew were threatening Goku and his friends, as it looks like there is no hope for the people of Earth. Vegeta would teleport between the two groups to the shock of everyone, but more so Nappa, as by the way Vegeta looks, he reminds him of King Vegeta. He heard rumors of what King Vegeta did about his first son, as he didn't want to believe it, but Goku would yell out that they won't get away from killing Kami after they killed Piccolo, and now the Dragon Balls don't work. Hearing this, Vegeta grows angry, as he now knows BROLY and his crew are bad after killing a Namekian, and to him the Namekians are like his family. He can sense that Goku is not strong enough to stop BROLY and his crew, so Vegeta would tell Goku not to worry, as he will protect them and this planet from BROLY. Vegeta tells BROLY and his crew that they will fight elsewhere, away from any living being, as BROLY and his crew just smirk. Where we last left off, Vegeta challenged the trio Saiyans, as now, with the fact that he wants to best BROLY, he is also gonna protect Earth from the Saiyans' tyrannical rule. The four would land at a deserted land, far away from any life. BROLY would ask Vegeta where did he come from, as Vegeta avoided the question, saying he is here to beat him, as he wants to prove to his father that replacing him with BROLY was a mistake. Hearing this confuses BROLY, and also puts a shocked face on Nappa, as now he is sure that this is King Vegeta's real son. Vegeta would explain to BROLY what happened to the both of them when they were infants, on how he is King Vegeta's real firstborn, and how BROLY was only taken in because he was stronger than him. BROLY took this as a shock, as the more he looks at Vegeta, the more BROLY's facial expression quickly changed from a confused one into an evil smirk. He laughs, saying that he is glad for what the king did, as he understood why he did it. BROLY would make fun of Vegeta, saying he was replaced only because he was weak, and says once he beats him, they will destroy this planet and the one he was raised from. Hearing this, Vegeta grows angry, as he says that he will beat BROLY, and once he does, all three of them would leave this planet and not return, as he would rush at BROLY, and the two would begin to fight. Raditz and Nappa stood back, as they were outclassed by Vegeta. Their first clash created a huge pressure wave that moved the other two Saiyans back. At first, BROLY was being pushed back as Vegeta was going all out, while BROLY was holding back. Vegeta knows about BROLY's true power, so he knows that he cannot mess around with him. BROLY was quite impressed, as he never fought someone as strong as him. BROLY begins to power up, no longer wanting to hold back, as their fight continues, but now BROLY is winning the battle, but not by much. Vegeta may be weaker compared to BROLY here, but he is much more of a skilled fighter with his years of training with Nail and the Namekian. So he is able to make the fight closer than what it could be, but slowly throughout time, BROLY's power begins to grow more and more, and it gets harder for Vegeta to keep up with BROLY in his base form. Away with the Z fighters, they all stood there, not knowing what to do, but some others arrived at Kame House, which was Tien, Yamcha, and Chaozu, as they asked what was going on, as they too also sensed the immense power levels. Goku, still a bit fearful as he holds Gohan, Krillin tries to ask what their plan would be if Vegeta loses, as even Master Roshi would be rather nervous about their current situation. Yamcha would bring up the Dragon Balls, but Roshi would notify them that Kame is now dead, as the bad Saiyans killed Piccolo on their way here, which means that Kame is now dead, as this made everyone nervous and the Dragon Balls useless. Roshi said that their only hope is that one Saiyan fighting for their planet. Goku puts Gohan down as he tells everyone that he will be going to the battlefield, as this shocks everyone, thinking that Goku has a death wish, but Goku says not to worry, as he has a plan to help out the fighter on their side. Goku would call his flying Nimbus and quickly head over to the direction of Kame's lookout. Back to the Saiyans, the fight continues to rage on as Vegeta begins to struggle more and more, as BROLY's power is rising continuously, to the point that Vegeta's more skilled fighting capability isn't enough to keep on with BROLY's strength. With this, Vegeta decides to focus on his rage, trying to get the same feeling he got back when he was training with Nail, and transformed into his new transformation for the first time. His energy and power begins to rise more and more, to where the three Saiyans stood there watching Vegeta power up. The area began to shake as a yellow aura begins to form around Vegeta, as he transforms into the false Super Saiyan form. This shocked them all with the power that he had, and began thinking if Vegeta is the legendary Super Saiyan. But BROLY did not care, as he still wanted to continue the fight, but quickly he would realize that it would be a mistake, as he was being manhandled by Vegeta with his new transformation. The fight quickly changed, with BROLY not standing a chance, but this is BROLY, and he begins to adapt and grow stronger the more he fights with Vegeta. Vegeta would sense how BROLY is getting stronger, and would try to end the fight quickly, but he is somewhat hindered with the fact that he is trying not to kill BROLY. And BROLY would see this, as he would use this to his advantage, and stalling the fight to the point where he would eventually catch up, being close to the power of Vegeta. And now the fight is back to equal standing, and soon BROLY is starting to beat on Vegeta, as he would lose the form and being close to death, as he is barely standing. BROLY laughs, telling Vegeta that what King Vegeta did was the right thing to do, as he is clearly the stronger one out of the two. And then he began talking about how King Vegeta did what he did to Vegeta again with another Saiyan, who technically is Vegeta's younger brother. And since he was weak as well, King Vegeta sent him away, being disappointed again that the two sons he made were both weaklings. BROLY began kicking Vegeta more and more, calling him weak. With hearing how his younger brother was treated the same way as him, his anger began to fuel up more and more, as now he wanted justice, not just for him, but for his brother. But he also got the sense of wanting to protect the people of this planet, and he is their only hope. However, Vegeta took too much damage, as he can barely stand. BROLY would kick Vegeta, sending him flying as he charges up a Ki Blast, ready to end Vegeta, as Vegeta accepted his fate, until all four of them hears a voice above them, as it's Goku, as he yells out Solar Flare, blinding the three Saiyans. He quickly lands by Vegeta and feeds him a Senzu Bean, as this brings Vegeta back to full health, and also gives him a huge Zenkai boost with being at the brink of death, bringing his power level from 120,000 all the way to 2 million in his base. Vegeta thanks Goku and tells him to fly away, as now with being back to full health and filled with rage, the battlefield would be a dangerous place to stay at. Goku would listen and quickly fly a good distance away, but still would be nearby where he could sense the battle. Vegeta now allows all his anger to take over, but this rage is not only for himself but for his brother, as his heart begins to be filled with pure intentions of fighting for others than just himself, as this new sense of fighting allows him to break the barrier that hindered him from achieving the true Super Saiyan form, as this time, when he powers up, his hair flares that of a bright golden yellow hair with bright green eyes, bringing his power level all the way up to 120 million with the Super Saiyan 50 times multiplier plus a rage boost. At this point, the other Saiyans can finally see again and are stunned to see the real Super Saiyan form, and this breaks all of their scouters. Broly just grew angry as he would rush over to Vegeta to strike him, but it did not faze him. He grabs Broly's hand and begins to slowly crush it, as he would throw him to the sky and send him crashing down. Broly would get up and continue the fight, as he would still grow stronger the longer they fought, but he was slowly starting to get exhausted, as Vegeta could sense it, but still continued to give him a beating. But Broly would not give up, as here he has the same amount of pride, if not more, than Ken and Vegeta. Vegeta begins to feel more rageful, as he started to not hold back until the point where he had Broly by the neck, ready to end his life, until both Goku and Raditz told him to stop. Raditz would bring up the fact that they came to recruit his younger brother to take out Frieza, as he is a ruthless leader that enslaved their people. Vegeta would stop and drop Broly, remembering that he promised Elder Guru that he will not kill him. Vegeta would tell Raditz how Frieza destroyed their planet, as this shocks Raditz and Nappa, as they thought it was by meteors. But Vegeta explained about the planet he was raised from, the Namekians, and the Dragon Balls. Hearing this, Goku jumps in, asking if he can use the Namekian Dragon Balls to wish back his sets of Dragon Balls, and Kami, as Vegeta said it would be a good idea. Vegeta told Raditz that he will not aid them with stopping Frieza, as he has no connections to the Saiyans, but Raditz would say that his planet may be in danger, as when they had their scouters, they did talk about the Dragon Balls with Goku, and when Vegeta arrived, he talked about planet Namek. This angers Vegeta, as he basically put his home planet in danger, and he wanted to go look for his younger brother, but now he has to focus on Frieza. But he would get up still injured, saying that they could use his help, and after they would leave both Vegeta and Goku alone. Vegeta gives off an angry look at Broly, but he remembers everything he learned from Nail and Guru, as he gives Broly his hand, telling him that he forgives him, as he knows it wasn't his fault. Broly didn't know what to say, as he was pretty stunned, but his pride couldn't allow him to apologize just yet, as he kept quiet. Vegeta explained how he will be wished back to his planet in less than a day. Then he will use the last wish to bring them all to his planet, as they will come up with a plan. While they wait, Raditz and Goku would bond a little, and Raditz would even meet Goku's family, as Goku needed to explain to Chi-Chi, Gohan, and the other Z fighters the situation, as Nappa would tend to Broly. Vegeta would be brought back to Namek, as he would explain to Guru and Nail how the planet is in danger, and now they need to bring all the Saiyans here, and they would deal with the threat. Nail wasn't too sure about bringing them here, but Guru would read Vegeta's mind and learn everything, and would allow this, as he believes Vegeta could keep everyone in check. The other Saiyans would be teleported to Namek with the inclusion of Goku, as the Namekians would be on guard with these newcomers. Guru would read all their minds, as he would ask Nail and Vegeta to keep an eye on Broly, Nappa, and Raditz, but with Goku, he can tell that he is pure of heart. Vegeta and Nail will gather the group and explain that they would need to quickly begin training, as they don't know how much time they have until Frieza's arrival. So with the time they have, the Saiyans and Nail began their harsh training to grow stronger. In the last part, the Saiyans all regrouped on Namek to begin the training session they need to prepare for Frieza's arrival on Namek. Now, an estimate of how long they have, I think a month or two would be an accurate amount, as it took Bulma and Code 34 days to arrive to Namek, but Vegeta was there early, and Frieza was there for I think around 3 days, but also gotta take into account the 11 days from when Goku fought Vegeta until Bulma fixing up Kami's ship. So that would be around 45 days, which is a month and a half. So with this time, the Saiyans would start their training. Broly and his two comrades would be sparring with Nail, but for Broly it would not be enough to grow rapidly, but Guru had a solution. He would call over both Goku and Vegeta to his home. Here, he would unleash both of their potentials to give them a boost in power. Now it would be hard to give them a multiplier, as it depends on the fighter themselves. Before you go to the comments and start a war, I'ma give Goku a bigger multiplier than Vegeta, because Vegeta is at 2 million in base and he also has Super Saiyan, and Goku is still at 350 at this time. but to be honest, it is difficult to give them a fair multiplier and to figure out if one of them has more potential than the other or them having the same. Again, this is a what if story for entertainment. Please do not fight each other in the comments. After the unlocking of their potentials, their base multiplied, with Vegeta going from 2 million all the way to 4 million and Goku going from 350 to 1050. But it just won't be that, as it is shown in the anime that both Krillin and Gohan continuously grew in power rapidly throughout the Namek Saga. Even though it may have only been for the story, but we would take that logic into these two. Seeing how their power just multiplied rapidly, BROLY would demand how they did so, but Vegeta would refuse to allow BROLY and the others to do the same, as Guru doesn't trust them. So they didn't get their potential unlocked, even though if BROLY did, it would have been very helpful. Now with the training, Vegeta and BROLY would continuously spar over and over with being on Namek and having the Namekians heal them to go back to full health and give them all Senkai boosts. Goku, Raditz, and Nappa would train under Nail for the month, but eventually Goku would skyrocket past all of them and start training with Vegeta and BROLY for the remaining time, but he would struggle a lot as he was way out of his league. Finally, the time came where they all sensed Frieza's arrival, but before we get into the action, let's discuss power levels. BROLY would be on top with a power level of 10 million, with Vegeta right under him being at 9 million, but with Super Saiyan it would be at 450 million. Goku being at 4 million, Raditz and Nappa both being at 250,000, and Nail being under them at 200,000. One day while they were gonna prepare to train, they all sensed the immense power of Frieza arriving on Namek. But something was wrong. BROLY and the other two Saiyans stand there in pure fear of what they are sensing, as Goku and Vegeta are confused, but then they all see a huge red ball starting to form in the sky. In space we see Frieza, but he is already in his full power form as he brought his entire army, including the Ginyu Force. Back when BROLY was facing Vegeta, the Skylanders were still on, as Frieza overheard Raditz and Nappa calling Vegeta the Super Saiyan legend. Frieza grew fearful of this and did not want to risk anything, so he gathered up all his forces to head over to Namek. And once he arrived there, he transformed into his final form, and just like he did with Planet Vegeta, he planned to do the same with Namek. Thinking that if all the remaining Saiyans were on the planet, he could wipe them out with one full power attack. Frieza would throw his huge death ball right on the planet as he commanded his army to attack, as everyone began to rush onto the planet. The Saiyans could sense this as they would all rush in as well. Vegeta powers up into his Super Saiyan form as he would focus on deflecting Frieza's attack, while the other four would face off the army. Goku and BROLY would be speeding through the weak soldiers, as the other two would have a bit more trouble only because of how many they are. Goku and BROLY would be stopped by the Ginyu Force, but then they would both sense Frieza's arrival, as Goku told BROLY to keep going to face him, as he will deal with the Ginyu Force on his own. BROLY would fly on as he would eventually meet up with Frieza as they meet face to face. Frieza laughs at the Prince of Saiyans, saying he knew this day would come. BROLY begins to grow angry as the thought of what Frieza did to his planet and his adopted father, as his ki began to rise as a clash would soon begin. The soldiers would also target any nearby Namekian village, so all the warrior Namekians would face the soldiers, as they could handle them well with the help of Nail and Vegeta. When Vegeta was raised on Namek and grew stronger, so did the other warrior Namekians. An all-out war broke out of the planet, with the warrior Namekians, Raditz, and Nappa fighting off the vast amount of Frieza soldiers, trying to protect the villagers and the Dragon Balls. Vegeta holding off the Death Ball to protect the planet, Goku facing the Ginyu Force, and BROLY facing Frieza. With Raditz and Nappa and Nail, they are holding their own pretty well with taking out the Frieza soldiers, but quickly are getting worn out, as even when they take out many soldiers, more would just show up. Goku is fighting the Ginyu Force, and to him, they are nothing, as he just plays around with them, taking them out one by one. His sheer speed is unmatched, as no one could even see him when he moves, as with this it would not allow Captain Ginyu to even get the chance to swap bodies with Goku. Now Goku still being himself, he doesn't kill the Ginyu Force, as he would lower his guard, which would then be his downfall, as when he isn't paying attention, Captain Ginyu would use his change body technique to switch bodies with Goku. Just like normally, Ginyu cannot access the full power of Goku, so his power level would only be around 1 million. But still, this is bad news, as soon he would meet up with Raditz and Nappa and begin to brawl it out with them. Vegeta would be struggling a bit to deflect the Death Ball, but he would manage to deflect the attack and send it away from the planet, as he then wanted to go help Broly take on Frieza. But then he sees Goku fighting Raditz and Nappa, and they are losing badly. This confuses Vegeta as he heads over to see what is going on. He sees Goku beating on the other two, as Vegeta asks what is going on, as Raditz would notify Vegeta that Ginyu has taken over Goku's body, and at this point, a wounded Captain Ginyu would arrive at the battlefield. He says that he is the real Goku. Understanding the situation, Vegeta would stop Ginyu as he would begin to brawl it out with him. Now this fight would be easy work for Vegeta since his power level is close to 500 million. Seeing someone who is stronger, Ginyu would try to want to switch bodies with Vegeta. But he would be fast enough to avoid the attack and grab a hold of Goku to make them switch back their bodies. And once they do so, Vegeta would finish off the weakened Ginyu, as he told the three Saiyans to get healed up and continue on fighting off the other Frieza soldiers, as he and Broly would stop Frieza. Meanwhile, Broly has been fighting Frieza, and at first he was struggling big time with Frieza, but slowly with time he would grow stronger and stronger with time as he would slowly begin to catch up to Frieza, but he still would be struggling. Vegeta would catch up ready to end Frieza right away, as seeing Vegeta got Frieza scared, but Broly would yell at Vegeta asking him to let him fight Frieza on his own and to not intervene as his pride would not allow Vegeta to help him. Vegeta understood and allowed Broly to face off Frieza on his own. This put a smile on Frieza's face a bit as he wanted to take his opportunity. The brawl between the two would rage on. Still, Broly isn't caught up to Frieza's power, but he is still growing rapidly. Frieza would taunt Broly, calling him weak and reminding him of what he did to King Vegeta and his planet. This will fill Broly with anger, as even though he isn't the true child of King Vegeta, he still saw him as his father. Broly begins to lash out as his anger would start to get a hold of him. He no longer wanted to hold back and began to release his full power. He begins to yell out and charges Ki as his energy spikes up, even shocking Vegeta. Broly's hair spikes up as his body bulks up as well. His eyes turned yellow, and at this point Broly is 1/3 of Frieza's full power, so his power level is around 40 million. But with the Ikari multiplier being 10 times, his power level skyrockets to 400 million. As he is close to reaching the level of Super Saiyan Vegeta, he would then begin to go all out on Frieza, beating him within an inch of his life, as Frieza could not fight back at all, and eventually would be met with his demise, as here Broly wouldn't leave a trace of Frieza after shooting him with a full power mouth beam. Broly would still be out of control, but quickly Vegeta would power up to his fullest and knock out Broly before he could continue to grow and close the gap between them, as he apologized to Broly as he carried his body to bring him down to the planet. Once he arrived on the ground, he announces that Frieza is dead and no longer controls them. If they stay on the planet, they will be killed, but if they leave now, they will be spared. Hearing that their emperor is dead, they would begin to retreat. Raditz and Nappa are shocked that Vegeta would spare them, but Vegeta said that there was no need to kill them if they didn't have to. The Saiyans would celebrate from the defeat of Frieza, as they would all heal up and now talk about what the plan is for all of them. Goku would ask if they could use the Dragon Balls to revive his fallen Namekian, and Gru would allow him to, and after bringing back Kami and Piccolo, Goku would wish to return to Earth, as Raditz would follow him as he wanted to stay with his brother, as Goku said that he had hopes to meet them all again, as he will continue to train and achieve Super Saiyan for himself. Broly and Nappa would leave on their own as they don't know what they will do, but Broly promises Vegeta that they will fight again in the future. Guru now would ask Vegeta what's his plan now, as he wanted to go find his brother, as they would prepare for a wish, but Vegeta would stop them, saying that he would look for him as he explores other planets. After defeating Frieza and splitting up the Saiyans into 3 different groups, starting off with the more known group, Goku and Raditz. Once they returned to Earth, Goku would help Raditz settle in with the Z Fighters. Kami would be brought back to life alongside Piccolo. Raditz would apologize to Kami for what he did, as it was hard for him to forgive him, but Piccolo wanted his revenge even more, but once he sensed how strong both of them are, he would need to start training intensely to try to catch up to them. The other Z Fighters have been training ever since Goku left, as they didn't want to be in another situation where they were too weak to do anything against future threats. While Goku was gone, Yamcha, Tien, Krillin, and Chaozu were training up on the lookout. They didn't grow immensely, but once Goku and Raditz returned, they would join with them and greatly help the others to grow stronger, and even had Gohan join from time to time, even though Chi-Chi did not like it. But the two Saiyans saw how much potential Gohan had, and would like for him to train more and more, but also allow him to continue to study. Gohan would train and spar, but would see it as a hobby rather than something he would have to do. We skip over to 2 years as nothing would happen, no Frieza returning, and no time traveler. However, during the years, Goku and Raditz obtained the Super Saiyan transformation, and also Raditz would have settled down with Bulma, as they would have their first son, Trunks. Not make the continuity too confusing, we're just gonna keep him as Trunks, just, Raditz as his dad, so just, yeah. Even though things seemed nice for now, sadly, Goku would still fall to the hard virus and pass away. The Z Fighters would continue to train together and would get a motivational boost with the loss of Goku. Piccolo would eventually join them, as growing by himself hasn't helped, as currently he was the weakest one in the group. And then the androids would attack as normal. Even though the Z Fighters did train the 3 years together, they stood no chance against the androids, as most of them died, besides Raditz, as he managed to escape, as he wasn't as prideful as the other Saiyans, as he knew when to flee the fight. Barely alive, he would end up going to the Sun family house, as Chi-Chi would see him pass out in front of them. Seeing and hearing what had happened to his friends and uncle, this is when Gohan would fully decide to become a fighter, as he would train with his uncle to become a fighter to protect the planet. They would mainly remain at the lookout when training. Bulma would also have left the planet in search of Namek, since there is no new Namek, as Namek was never destroyed, and Raditz did come from Namek, so he would have known where to tell Bulma to go, and Trunks would just stay with his Aunt Chi-Chi. While on the lookout, Mr. Popo would tell Raditz and Gohan about the time chamber, as they would enter to train up, and after a day, they would come out with Gohan knowing Super Saiyan, and would wear a gi similar to his father, as he would want to honor him. They would spend some extra days training up, and once they felt ready, they would go face the androids, with each of them fighting one android. It would be a hard fight, as they were on par with the androids, but were only on the losing side because of the fact that they have infinite stamina. And Gohan would struggle, as this is his first time in a real fight. Soon Raditz would be losing and getting beat up pretty badly, as Gohan could only watch, as 17 would kill Raditz. This would unleash Gohan's rage, as he taps into the Super Saiyan 2 form. With this, he would easily destroy the androids without much trouble. Still, he is saddened by the fact that his uncle had died, but then suddenly sees the wound on Raditz's heels, and the ruined city that they were in returns to normal, as Gohan would also sense all his dead friends' ki. Bulma managed to make it to Namek and wished for everyone who had died to the androids to be brought back to life, and have the planet be restored, and also she would be teleported to Earth by Vegeta. Everyone would celebrate over their win and are impressed with Gohan's power. This would further drill the fact that Gohan would continue his training, as he wants to take over as Earth's protector, but still continues with his studies. Over to Broly and Nappa. After the defeat of Frieza, they would go visit many Frieza planets to destroy his army one by one. Broly would also work on trying to control his form that he had obtained when he fought Frieza, and eventually would learn to control the form. And with watching Broly with the form, Nappa would also obtain the Ikari form. Eventually they would be faced with King Cold, as Broly would tell him that he was the one to kill his son, as this would anger King Cold, as a clash would begin. Meanwhile, Nappa was taking care of Cold's army. Broly in base was weaker than Cold, but his power level would continue to grow. He would give Cold the false sense that he would win, until Broly transformed into his Ikari form and would easily overpower Cold. He would play with him, as Cold was nowhere near strong enough to stop Broly. Broly even pointed out how Nappa could have easily defeated Cold, as then he would shoot a ki blast, piercing King Cold and ending his life. In the first 2 years, they both took out the entire Frieza force. Nappa would ask what would be next for them, as Broly would want to continue to train, as he did want to face Vegeta once again. Nappa was still confused on who he should have followed, as Vegeta was the true prince by blood, but he spent most of his life with Broly as the prince, so the title was a bit up in the air currently. They would land on a planet and begin training. Nappa would struggle with keeping up with Broly with his insane potential, as most of the time it would be Nappa who would be growing in strength. A year would pass on when they are met with a visitor, as they both stand guard, as the visitor being Jaco, a member of the Galactic Patrol. Jaco was here to recruit the two Saiyans after learning that they took out the entire Frieza force. Nappa was actually intrigued in joining, as he wanted to do something with his life, as he only had so many years left before he lost his prime body. Broly, on the other hand, wasn't too keen on joining, as he only wanted to grow stronger. Jaco said that they could help him grow stronger, and hearing that, Broly would leave with both Jaco and Nappa to the Galactic Patrol HQ. For the 2 years, Nappa and Broly would venture in space, fighting many space criminals, as they would grow stronger as well. In the 2 years of them being with the Galactic Patrol, they did obtain the Super Saiyan form, and Broly, already knowing how to control himself, would be able to tap into his form without losing control. However, in the end of the second year, staying with the Galactic Patrol, Broly and Nappa would part ways, saying their goodbyes, as Broly would leave to go look for Vegeta, for his rematch, while Nappa stated as he is a Galactic Patrol member. With Vegeta during his 2 years after the defeat of Frieza, he spent his time exploring many planets in search for his brother, but had no luck. He was also lacking on his training as he cared more about finding his brother. He would end up landing on a planet called Yardrad. He would go around asking about his brother, but again, no luck. He was preparing to leave until he sent some of Frieza's men, knowing they would only cause trouble for this planet. He would go over there to stop them. The Frieza soldiers would cause trouble as they would begin destroying buildings, but before they could cause much damage, Vegeta would arrive, saving the people of Yardrad and defeating the soldiers very easily. This act would catch the attention of Elder Paibara, as he would offer to train Vegeta, as a thank you for caring for their people. Vegeta would be unsure as he wanted to continue to look for his brother, but he stayed as he did need to train since he stopped for a whole 2 years. He would then stay and train under the Yardrad. He would stay for over more than just a year, as he would learn the instant transmission, force spirit fission, healing, cloning, and gigantification. He would thank the Yardrads for taking him in and teaching him the various techniques as he would continue on his search for his brother. Some months would pass as Vegeta would travel to more planets, until he would land on a planet and would ask around for Tarbell, as he is met with a small woman saying he knows Tarbell as he is her husband, as she would introduce herself as Gur. Hearing that his younger brother is married shocked him as she would bring him to Tarbell. Once they would meet, Tarbell would ask Vegeta why is he looking for him. Vegeta stands there as he struggles to speak, but he would just hug his younger brother as he told him about their past and how they are related. This is a lot for him to take in, but their reunion would be cut short as two enemies came looking for Tarbell, that being Abo and his brother Kado. See how they are threatening his brother? Vegeta stepped up, preparing to fight them alone, but Tarbell would join in. He wasn't a fighter, but he wasn't going to let his older brother fight alone. Together they would begin fighting the other brothers. Vegeta would be handling Abo, having the edge on the battle, only slightly because of his use of instant transmission, but Tarbell would be losing badly. Seeing his brother in trouble, he would tap into his perfected Super Saiyan form, as then Vegeta would be handling the two on his own, until they decided to fuse into Akka, and that is when Vegeta is starting to lose. They would begin to laugh at Vegeta, saying there is no way he could beat them now. Vegeta smirks as he begins to use his ability of Force Spirit Fission. Akka wasn't sure what he was doing until after some time the fusion was undone. To their confusion, they would try to fuse once again, but it wouldn't work, as Vegeta explained what he did. They would try to fight Vegeta again, but that wouldn't work out as Vegeta is stronger when they aren't fused together. After defeating them, he spared them as there was no reason for him to kill them. Vegeta would heal Tarbell's wounds, and Tarbell was surprised to see how compassionate his brother was. Vegeta would spend some time with Tarbell and his wife, and Vegeta would end up offering if they would like to move with him to his home planet, where it's peaceful and full of caring people. Tarbell was unsure at first, but Gura was pushing him to do so, as this is his only family member. Vegeta would say that if they don't like it, he could easily teleport them back here. Vegeta, with Tarbell and Gura, would teleport from planet to planet, returning to Namek. Once they arrived, Vegeta would see Bulma recognizing her a bit, as she would ask him for help with using the Dragon Balls, as he would do so, letting her use the Dragon Balls to make her wish, and teleporting her back to Earth, as we are matched up with the endings of everyone's story. Where we last left off, we went over what the three groups of Saiyans did during the time skip. Goku and Raditz having to deal with the androids, with sadly Goku dying to the heart virus, Broly and Nappa finishing off Frieza's army, and even took out Frieza's father. And Vegeta went looking for his missing brother, and ended up reuniting on Earth. Picking up to the end of the last part, Vegeta would arrive on Earth and catch up with everyone, learning about the androids, Gohan achieving a new form beyond Super Saiyan, and the sad death of Goku. Vegeta would apologize for not being there to aid them, and the passing of Goku. They understand why he wasn't around, plus Gohan here decided to take up the mantle of Earth's protector. Vegeta would ask Gohan to tap into the power he achieved, but Gohan laughing saying he couldn't as of right now, as it was achieved through pure necessity and he would need to continue to train to be able to control it fully. Vegeta would end up deciding on staying on Earth, as he would bring along his brother and his wife, as they could all live a normal life here. We would then jump through a 7-year time skip, as a lot of things are different. With the Sun family, it's only Gohan, Chi-Chi, and the Ox King. Gohan here continued his studies, but also spent his time training with Vegeta, Raditz, and Raditz's son, Trunks, that he had with Bulma during the time skip. Sorry Vegeta fans, here he will remain single, which could be a good thing later on. Also, what happened during the 7-year time skip was Vegeta and Broly's rematch, as it wouldn't take Broly too long to find Namek and learn Vegeta move to Earth and head over there as well. At the time of their rematch, Vegeta already had a hold on Super Saiyan 2, as he did train for 3 years consistently. Their fight wasn't one to the death, but more of a rivalry fight. They would spar all around the planet, as with Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta, he had the advantage at the start, but Broly, having his potential plus control of Super Saiyan, he was quickly catching up to Vegeta, even when Vegeta trained for 3 years. Vegeta would use a combination of his techniques he learned back on Yardrat to use on BROLY, like instant transmission, clones, and even a new move he made called the Instant Gallic Gun. Eventually, they would reach their fight up to space. BROLY began to slowly lose control of himself as his hair was growing green, but before he could transform, he would gain control once again and power down, telling Vegeta he is a good fighter and would want to fight him again, though he doesn't stay on planet Earth, and goes out to grow in strength in his own way. Vegeta did note the possible other transformation that BROLY has. Continuing with the time skip, Gohan was currently the strongest with his potential as he did master Super Saiyan 2. Vegeta and Raditz both unlocked Super Saiyan 2 but haven't quite mastered it yet like Gohan had. Trunks would have had Super Saiyan here but without any true rival to push himself, as Goten does not exist. The other Z fighters would continue to train as well, but it would mainly be Tien and Piccolo who would truly try to catch up with the Saiyans, but would struggle to do so. Here, Kami is still Guardian and Piccolo never fused with Kami, nor Nail, so he is very weak compared to his canon counterpart. And the human Z fighters just don't have that much experience in battles, as the only time they truly fought was during the androids, but they died rather quickly, so here I could see some of them truly stop being a fighter. Getting to the start, the World Tournament really wouldn't happen. Well, at least not the same way of Goku coming back, as he will not be doing that in this What If. For Chi-Chi, money wouldn't really be an issue as Bulma is her sister-in-law and would help out financially. They could all go since it's a way they could remember Goku. Most of the Z fighters would attend, with Raditz replacing Goku and Yamcha replacing 18 as she was destroyed. The tournament would go on, but Piccolo would never recognize the Kais, as I believe he had his own feeling about them because of Kami's knowledge. The Majin henchmen would take Gohan's energy and would even be able to gather more since Gohan is much stronger here. Following them to Babidi's hideout, things would play out similarly, with Dabura turning Krillin and Piccolo to stones. Gohan, Raditz, and Vegeta would enter and face off the other henchmen rather easily. Even Gohan fighting Dabura was a piece of cake, but once they arrived, Buu was revived since this time around Gohan's energy was more than enough to wake him. Gohan would face off Buu, as with him continuing his training, he was dealing with Buu pretty easily. Babidi grew worried as he would try to control one of the Saiyans, but failed with both Raditz and Vegeta, as they both are pretty much good guys at this point, with no regrets or thirst for power, as Raditz would just end Babidi. Gohan was toying with Buu, as here Gohan never learned his lesson as he did back in the Cell games in the original timeline. Buu would begin to grow angry as he would begin to produce smoke around him, and would end up splitting up between both good Buu and evil Buu. Everyone is shocked to see and wouldn't know what exactly to do. Gohan would continue to fight the Buu he was previously fighting. He also denied any help from the others, as this was even easier for Gohan. But what he and the others did not know was that he was fighting the wrong Buu. Good Buu would be heavily damaged and weakened, as this would allow evil Buu to absorb him, his other half, as he would begin to transform into Super Buu. Vegeta demanded they need to work together to stop this threat before he grows any stronger, but Gohan would fight Super Buu alone, but it wouldn't look so good as he is now on the losing edge. Super Buu would be laughing at Gohan, calling him weak. Gohan just smirks as he says that he has been holding back this entire time. Hearing this piques Buu's interest and the others as well. He explains that this form isn't too useful yet as he hasn't mastered it, as it does take a lot of energy from his body, but in this situation, this form will be needed. Gohan begins to power up his ki. The entire Earth begins to feel the immense energy forming up from Gohan. The other Z fighters worry as the amount of force that he is emitting could destroy the planet. Gohan can be heard all over the planet. As he yells, his hair begins to grow longer as his power level multiplies many times over. A bright yellow aura forms around his body as everyone can barely look at him, but when the light settles, they see Gohan, but his appearance has changed a lot, with having long spiky hair and losing his eyebrows. Super Buu is impressed with his power. Gohan just smirks, telling Buu that he will kill him. Gohan knows that he's been playing around with Buu, but he needs to take him down once and for all, as he knows Super Saiyan 3 takes a toll on his body and he cannot hold out on this form for long. Their fight begins as he would be beating on Super Buu with ease, something similar to when Mystic Gohan was fighting Super Buu in canon. Buu was growing angry as no matter what he was throwing at Gohan, nothing would faze him. Buu would try to sneak pieces of him to absorb the other fighters, but Gohan would notice it and destroy them with ki attacks. And even then, with everyone still being around together, it would be practically impossible for Buu to absorb anyone. Super Buu begins to show true fear. Gohan would slowly walk towards him. Buu shoots any attacks he could, but it doesn't faze Gohan at all, as he would grab Buu's hand, gut punching him, and throwing him into the air, as he would power up a full power Kamehameha wave, shooting it right at Buu, as not a single trace of Buu is left over. Gohan falls over exhausted, reverting back to his base form. Vegeta and Raditz are impressed to see the new form that Gohan has acquired. even though it needed a lot of work, but maybe once they master it, the form could be very useful. The Supreme Kai would thank Gohan for stopping Buu, and as a thank you, he would offer Gohan to train under the Supreme Kai. Gohan was unsure as he didn't want to leave the planet, but the other Z Fighters said that they could look over the planet while he is gone. So Gohan would leave to train with the Supreme Kai, but would return from time to time to visit his family and to spend time with Videl. Now at this point, Vegeta and Raditz know that they are the only true strong ones on the planet, with Piccolo being the next strongest but very far behind them, and the humans being even weaker as well. So their focus would be helping the other fighters train to grow stronger. For the next 6 months, everyone on Earth would continue to train after the defeat of Buu. We now move over to Nappa in the Galactic Patrol, as he is traveling around as he would get a notification that a planet was just destroyed out of thin air. He would head over to see what had happened, but his eyes opened in pure shock to see that the planet was just gone, not even having any leftover rubble of the planet. Seeing this, his mind could only go to one place, as he grew worried that he had woken up, as he would head back to the Galactic Patrol HQ. We hop over to BROLY, but when we see him, he is very beaten up in his Super Saiyan form, facing a purple cat. We hear how he was disappointed in this Saiyan, as he was told that he was the Saiyan with the best potential. We are then introduced to Beerus, as Whis would walk behind him, telling him that the Saiyan may not be the Super Saiyan God. Broly begins to grow angry as he hated being looked down upon, as he would get up, charging up, losing all control he had, as his hair finally turns green and his aura flares up as his body bulks as well. Beerus smirks, saying that even if he isn't the Super Saiyan God, this Saiyan is something else, as he can tell that the more the Saiyan fights, the stronger he becomes during the fight. Their brawl would continue on as Beerus would slowly get excited, as he had to use around 20% of his power, which isn't a lot, but it's the most he has gone to fight a mortal. Their battle would go on and be very intense, well, in a mortal point of view. They caused so much damage to the point where the planet was close to being destroyed. Beerus would quickly knock out Broly as he tells Whis to bring them back to their planet. Whis would ask about the other Saiyans on Earth, but Beerus didn't care about them, as they are weaker than the Saiyan they have currently. Whis would note that one of those Saiyans are training under the Supreme Kai, as this gave Beerus a fun idea, as he told Whis he would have half a year to train up this Saiyan, and then they will have a little visit to Earth. Whis would ask what his idea is, as Beerus would like to see how strong the Saiyan can grow from training under the Supreme Kai, while they see how strong the Saiyan that they have can grow from their training. Where we left off in the previous part, Gohan has gone to train under the Supreme Kai, while Broly was picked up by Beerus and Whis to be trained under them, as Beerus got the idea of wanting to see who out of the two Saiyans would be stronger under their respective training. Now, to make the time be simple, Gohan and the fighters on Earth will train for a year and a half before Beerus and Whis arrive on Earth, as there is around a year time skip between the end of Z and the start of Super. So that means Broly will only be able to train for 6 months. Gohan will be brought to the Supreme Kai's planet and begin his training. Being much stronger here, he would pull out the Z Sword a lot easier and a lot earlier, which means it will break sooner as well, releasing the Elder Kai. And as a thank you, he would perform the ritual to unlock Gohan's potential. And this time around, the Elder Kai would be able to perform the entire ritual without having to rush because of a time limit, as I would say that this would give an even bigger boost to Gohan. He would maintain his mystic form and begin to train to make it his base form. He would take some breaks between the year and a half to return to Earth, but still would spend most of his time training under the Kais. He even learned the Kai, allowing him to return to Earth whenever he wanted to. He even brought back 2 fighters with him, that being Piccolo and Tien. Now on Earth, at the start of Tien and Piccolo's training under Vegeta and Raditz, it was difficult as they didn't have any transformations to rely on, and were pretty far behind in power already. But to everyone's surprise, Nappa returned to Earth, warning them of a potential powerful enemy, being a god of destruction. This drove everyone to train even harder, and in just a year, Vegeta and Raditz obtained the Super Saiyan 3 form and were on the way to learn another transformation, as Nappa explained that he believed there is a form he is close to obtaining with the Ikari form, as he would teach the two the transformation as well, with all 3 of them reaching for a new form. Even Raditz's son Trunks joined in the training and reaped amazing results, achieving Super Saiyan 2 at a young age. In just a year, Tien and Piccolo grew immensely, but still far behind the Saiyans, until one day Gohan showed up, inviting everyone to the Supreme Kai's planet. But the Saiyans, being Saiyans, refused the invitation as they wanted to get their own source of power, as they were close to something new, but Raditz did believe it was a good idea to bring Tien and Piccolo, as it would help them. Now before you all ask about Yamcha and Krillin, with how events played out and being very outclassed here, I could see and understand fully if they gave up being a fighter and would just live out their lives normally. And just so all the Krillin fans are happy, he does get with an attractive woman. Mainly because I saw a comment with someone saying that in all what ifs, Krillin loses his biggest W in the show, which is Android 18. Back to the story, For the remaining of the 6 months, Piccolo and Tien would begin their training under the Kais, having their potential unlocked and having their mystic form. Tien and Piccolo would grow immensely in 6 months and close the gap pretty well with the Saiyans, as they are around the Super Saiyan 2 level, and both learned the Kai as well. Gohan, however, achieved something that shocked even the Kais, a transformation they did not know existed. Gohan learned the Beast form a whole lot earlier because of the extra training he has done with the Kais, and being around the Supreme Kai much longer. Seeing this form motivated both Tien and Piccolo, as they also wanted to obtain the form that Gohan did, but after the 6 months were over, they each were close to obtaining a new form, as it seemed that their forms were going to be different to each other, but would need more time and training to get this new form. With the Saiyans on Earth, with the last 6 months, Vegeta, Raditz, and Nappa all learned the new transformation, combining the forms of Super Saiyan and Ikari, which is Super Saiyan 4. Hard to say if they would call it that, as it would make more sense for Vegeta and Raditz, but not to Nappa. But that doesn't change the story too much. Trunks would be pretty strong in his own right. He would have been able to access Super Saiyan 3 if he wasn't so young. But as a fighter here though, he is pretty different from canon Kid Trunks, as here he isn't too cocky, but takes Raditz's skill of being a smart fighter, and since he doesn't really have another half Saiyan here to mess around with, he is a much more serious fighter, surrounding himself with grown-ups. Moving on to Broly, he trained under Whis for 6 straight months without any break, and the training was the hardest training that Broly has ever experienced. Some days he even sparred against Beerus. At the start, he was getting his butt kicked until he learned the Super Saiyan God form and learned to sense God Ki as well. When he learned the form, his training grew even more intense, but his 6 months were over as Beerus told Broly that he would be fighting against another Saiyan, as Whis would show Gohan. Here Broly doesn't know who this Saiyan is exactly, since he never really met Gohan besides only for a little while when he wanted to rematch Vegeta back on Earth. However, Broly asks about Vegeta. Whis was impressed with how strong Vegeta has gotten, as he and the other Saiyans obtained a new form that is no laughing matter. Whis would exclaim that all the Saiyans are on Earth currently, as a grin appeared on Beerus' face, saying that they need to pay Earth a visit. On Earth, everyone gathers at Bulma's birthday party. Things would go on pretty normal until Beerus and Whis and Broly arrive. This shocks everyone besides the Saiyans, as they were training for the arrival because of Nappa's prior warning. Beerus explains why he is here, and he wants to see who the strongest Saiyan is. Note, he isn't looking for the Super Saiyan God, as now that it's Broly. Vegeta steps up prepared to fight, but Beerus pointed at Gohan, saying he wanted him to fight Broly first, as he knows that he trained under the Supreme Kai. Gohan didn't care too much to fight, as he only did so to protect the planet, so then Beerus would make a serious face, saying if he doesn't fight, he will destroy the Earth. Nappa would warn Gohan who this is, and after hearing it, he would have no choice than to face Broly. Gohan didn't want to put anyone at risk, so he placed his hand on Broly and teleported to the nearest deserted planet, as Beerus and Whis followed, leaving everyone stranded. Vegeta demanded Tien and Piccolo to teleport them there, but they denied his demand, as it would be very dangerous, but they would be able to sense what is going on, as they would update them. Gohan and Broly arrived at a deserted planet, and not long after, Beerus and Whis arrived as well. Beerus demanded them to go all out, and if they hold back, he will destroy both of them and then the Earth. Having no choice, the two Saiyans power up to their max, right away going into their respective forms. Their first clash between the two alone was almost enough to break the planet in half. They teleported all around the planet, each blow clashing. Beerus was smiling already with how entertaining the fight was, with how it just barely started and was itching to join in. During the fight between the Saiyans, they discussed how this fight was pretty pointless, as they did not want to fight each other at all. Broly wanted to fight Vegeta more, as he wanted to have his rematch once again to finally best him. Beerus would overhear this conversation between the two as he grows angry, teleporting between the two as he would join in the fight, but being very upset. He powers up, not planning to hold back between the two, as he would signal both Gohan and Broly to come at him. They're a bit confused, but they begin to work together to face off Beerus. The two Saiyans no doubt are very strong compared to the canon timeline, but were still being handled by Beerus. Gohan would try to fight in sync with Broly, but it was pretty difficult with the fact that these two never fought together. Beerus would take their lack of teamwork against them. He admits how these Saiyans are strong with the training they have gone through, but they still have a lot of growth if they ever plan to beat him. Gohan would try to use the Kai technique to try to confuse Beerus, as he would manage to get off some kicks and even an instant Kamehameha right to Beerus' face, but after then, Beerus would not be affected from the blast, as he would grab Gohan's face, sending him crashing down onto the planet. He would then shoot a strong destruction blast towards the new crater. Gohan would barely manage to recover and teleport out of the way. The attack was not a full power attack from Beerus, but it was enough to begin the soon explosion of the planet they are currently on. On Earth, both Piccolo and Tien can feel the immense pressure from the fight, as they explain to the others what exactly is going on. Hearing this, Vegeta grows more eager, especially with wanting to face Broly to see how his new transformation would fare, but the others would grow worried, especially for Gohan. Back to the fight, the two Saiyans are being tossed around like they were nothing. Being treated like this, Broly began to grow angry. He was still growing in power in his Super Saiyan God form, but being pushed this far allowed him to break a new barrier. His hair and aura flaring to a new color, as when he powers up, the color changes from red to blue. The tide of the battle turned for a bit, since Broly was slightly caught off guard. Here, Gohan took his chance to Kai quickly back to Earth, and back to bringing Vegeta into the fight. Seeing how damaged Gohan was, Vegeta used his healing techniques he learned from Yardrat to heal Gohan, as he would take on Beerus while Vegeta healed Broly, telling him after this they will have their rematch. Vegeta instantly powers up into his Super Saiyan 4, as all three of them would attack Beerus. Here, they had better teamwork with Vegeta fighting with both fighters before. Beerus was getting tired of this pointless battle as he charged up a death ball, and quickly threw it at the Saiyans. Each of the Saiyans charged their own respective blast to push back the death ball. Slowly, they were being taken over until Gohan shouted to use every ounce of power they had. They would put everything they had and managed to overtake the death ball, pushing it back. Beerus moved out of the way of their attack and appeared in front of all of them. They were tired out and having almost no energy. Beerus would applaud them for the effort, as he is convinced that these Saiyans are a powerful race. He was done fighting as he asked Whis to repair the planet before it would explode, as he would also ask him to heal the fighters. Beerus asked Broly if he wanted to return back to his training and to master the new form he has just unlocked. But he looked back to Vegeta, as he still wanted to have his rematch, to see how strong his rival has become. Beerus would then invite Vegeta, as well as Vegeta decided to follow, as well as he didn't have anything to return to back on Earth. Beerus looked over to Gohan, saying he is welcome as well, but Gohan refused for now, but he did think about joining in later on. But his planet needs him for now. He did thank all of them for the fight, as this showed him how much more he needs to train, as he would serve this fight as motivation. He would return back to Earth with a smile, exclaiming everything is now fine, but did tell Raditz, Trunks, Tien, and Piccolo that their training is far from over, as they need to continue in case of any future threats. On Beerus' planet now, before they started their training, Whis would see the two Saiyans in a fighting stance, ready to fight, as they smirk at each other, seeing how far the two has come, as they would rush over to each other, as we would pan away from the planet and only hear and see the immense clashes between the two Saiyans. Last time, the Z fighters had to face off against Beerus, and luckily, with the combined forces of Vegeta, Broly, and Gohan, they managed to impress him to the point where he invited the three to his planet. Broly and Vegeta went, while Gohan decided to stay on Earth to continue his training with the other fighters. Few months have gone by, with Gohan now a father, and Raditz having another child with Bulma, that being Bra. Their training has been on the low with their new child that they had with their respective family. Meanwhile, Piccolo and Tien continued their training with the Supreme Kai, trying to obtain the form that Gohan obtained when facing off against Beerus. With Trunks, he actually been training with Nappa before he had to leave back to the Galactic Patrol. With the sheer lack of defenders, and with Gohan and Raditz taking a small break from training, Trunks felt the need to step up and asked Nappa to train him up a bit before he had left, which he did. They mainly trained in the gravity chamber, but once Nappa soon had to go, they hopped into the time chamber so that Trunks could get more training in. During the year, Trunks grew a lot, mastering Super Saiyan 2 and was even close to obtaining 3. He, however, wasn't sure what he would do after Nappa leaves. He didn't feel like he could follow them and obtain Super Saiyan 4, and he doesn't think what Gohan and the others are doing with the Supreme Kai would be enough for him to protect the planet. Here, Trunks is much more motivated to grow as strong as possible, seeing how almost every adult is stronger than him. Trunks would ask Nappa to bring him to Beerus' planet, but Nappa rejected that idea as he is too young to go off on his own. He would apologize, but Nappa would then leave Earth. Trunks would be pretty upset, but then would get an idea. After all, he is the son of the smartest woman on the planet. He gathers the Dragon Balls and summons Shenron, as he would wish to be teleported to Beerus' planet, which wouldn't work as Shenron is too afraid to make such a wish, so then Trunks would get a better idea. He remembers that Gohan and the others who trained under the Supreme Kai had a technique where they were able to teleport, so he wished to be teleported to the planet of the Kais. The Supreme Kai, Piccolo, and Tien will be confused on why Trunks is here, as he explained how he used the Dragon Balls to be teleported here, as he does want to learn their teleporting technique, obviously leaving out the part of wanting to go to Beerus' planet. With the initiative that Trunks took, the Supreme Kai would teach him the Kai Kai, which would take a month or two to learn. You may be wondering why no Resurrection F arc? Well, that is because here the entirety of his army is gone because of Broly and Nappa ending any survivors of this Frieza army a few parts back, so there is no one that will be wishing Frieza back this time around. Once Trunks learned the Kai Kai, he would then begin to teleport to find Beerus and the others, but after close to a day has passed, he teleported back to the Kai's planet, exhausted, as the Supreme Kai asked where did he go. As Trunks explained how he went to go find Beerus' planet, which shocked and also angered the Supreme Kai, and explained how it wouldn't be possible as he currently cannot sense God Ki. Trunks was about to return to Earth as Gohan appeared as he wanted to continue his training, and after hearing everything, he offered to take Trunks to Beerus' planet as he planned on going to visit him currently, which brought some joy into Trunks, as they would head to Beerus' planet. Beerus was glad to see Gohan, but once he saw the Saiyan child, he grew a bit annoyed, not ever inviting him, but Gohan would vouch for him. Beerus just turned away as he isn't the one training them anyways. Trunks would join in on the training with Broly, Vegeta, and Gohan, but he would really be way over his head, as Whis was not holding back just for Trunks. The growth Trunks experienced though was immense. Gohan didn't plan to stay too long, so he did need to go back to his family, so Trunks would also have to go as he has been gone from his family for a while. When he returned home, his parents scolded him for leaving without saying anything, but Raditz was slightly proud of his son, wanting to keep growing stronger, so he allowed him to stay on Beerus' planet to continue his training. So the next time Gohan would return, Trunks would stay on the planet. A few months more would pass on with all 4 Saiyans on Beerus' planet training. They get some visitors looking very similar to Whis and Beerus, being Champa and Vados. The 2 gods of destruction would have their little argument, and here Trunks would be the one to bring up the idea of the tournament, having each universe have a team of fighters going against each other, and surprisingly Beerus liked the idea, giving props to Trunks. So for Universe 7's team, this time around would obviously be Broly, Vegeta, Gohan, and Trunks, but Gohan declined as he didn't mind sitting out, and would suggest both Tien and Piccolo as they have been training consistently for a good while and are some very skilled fighters. They would travel to the Supreme Kai planet, and once they heard about the tournament, they were excited and wanted to participate. So the full team would consist of Broly, Vegeta, Trunks, Tien, and Piccolo. Once the time arrived for the tournament, everyone here would pass the test before the tournament, as here everyone has common knowledge. Now the order would be Tien, Piccolo, Trunks, Vegeta, and Broly. So the first match would be Tien versus Botamo. Now when the fight starts, Tien would notice quickly how no attack would affect Botamo, and I have no doubt that he is a very smart fighter, and like Goku, he would think about throwing him out of the ring, especially since he is familiar with the tournament rules, easily going through the first round. Next up would be Frost. Now a lot would change here. Tien doesn't care too much with fighting people at their full power, and with his knowledge of Frieza from his universe, he doesn't fully trust Frost being a good guy. Tien isn't as kind-hearted as Goku is, so he wouldn't taunt Frost to transform. He really wouldn't waste too much time with Frost either, powering up into his mystic form to quickly take him down and out of the arena. He would use a solar flare to blind Frost and catch him off guard with a strong gut punch, catching him off balance and then throwing him out of the arena. However, soon after, Tien starts feeling sick as he would fall over, eventually passing out. He would still win the round, but both would be eliminated. Piccolo with his keen senses explained what had happened, as when Tien grabbed Frost, he stabbed him with a hidden needle before he got out. Vegeta would go heal Tien as he would explain what had happened to him, and how he could continue the tournament, but here I see Tien refusing to be able to continue as he would see it as fair and his own mistake that he didn't catch it sooner. So moving on with the matches, it would then be Piccolo versus Auto Magetta. Piccolo being Piccolo, I feel like this fight would be very similar to when Vegeta faces Magetta, as he would eventually spit out a mean remark that would hurt Magetta's feeling, and seeing his weakness, he would definitely exploit it, as he would win that round easily. Next match would be Piccolo and Kaba, which is interesting as Piccolo is excited to test his strength on a Saiyan, as he never really had a true fight with a Saiyan besides Gohan, but that was only in training sessions. Piccolo would ask Kaba if he can go Super Saiyan, which he says he couldn't. This kind of disappointed Piccolo, as he was expecting a true match, but then he gets an idea. He saw how Saiyans obtained the Super Saiyan form, so he would do the same here. Kaba would still get Super Saiyan, but for a different reason, with Piccolo just wanting a true fight. Piccolo would begin to threaten Kaba and his people, exclaiming how he will destroy his planet if he doesn't transform, as he begins to beat on Kaba in his base form. Kaba would be getting thrown around but slowly grow angrier and angrier, until the point where he snaps, catching Piccolo's fist as his hair flares yellow, gut punching him and sending Piccolo flying. He gets up with a smirk, pleased with the results. He exclaims how he would need to use his mystic form as he powers up, gaining a yellow aura similar to Kaba's, as Piccolo has a glowing tint to him. Their fight truly begins. Piccolo was just holding back, but not by much, as Kaba did grow a lot in power. The more they fought, the more it became into a training session, with Piccolo giving Kaba some pointers as if it was natural to him. After a while of sparring, Piccolo knows it was time to end it, no longer holding back as he begins to wail on Kaba, knocking him out of his Super Saiyan form and throwing him out of the arena. After the match, he would help Kaba up, saying he has plenty of potential and forming a master-student bond with him, something that he felt missing his entire life. Wink wink. However, Vegeta and Broly were a little jealous how their counterpart became a student of another race, and how they didn't even get the chance to fight him. Moving on to the final matchup, Piccolo versus Hit. Now Piccolo did tire himself out a bit with the last fight, so he did not want to mess around with this final fighter. He noticed a menacing aura coming from Hit. Even after seeing his fighting stance, Piccolo kept his guard up, not wanting to underestimate his opponent. Once the battle begins, he rushes over to Hit as he then is instantly attacked without Hit moving. This shocked everyone as Piccolo is left kneeling over coughing out blood. He didn't understand what had just happened. He got back up knowing he needed to use his new form. Even though he was tired and pretty damaged, he won't be able to hold it on for long. He begins charging up, his ki overflowing, his body growing in size and his color changed to orange, powering up into his orange form. Yes, I am making that he obtained this form from the Kai. He obtained his orange form by wishing for his full potential, and technically in this what if his potential was unlocked by the Kais, so same thing maybe? Anyways, back to the story. Revealing his form, compared to Gohan's beast form, he shocks everyone with his power, as then he would rush over to Hit once more, this time seeing Hit's time skip ability. He's able to move around but not so fast as again, he is pretty exhausted already, and his bulky body doesn't help his situation, but this does shock Hit seeing someone able to break through, so he would put a lot more power into this attack, sending Piccolo flying out of the arena, powering out of his orange form as he is completely drained out of ki. He would slowly return to the others, warning them of Hit's abilities, as this discourages Trunks a little, not sure if he's trained enough for this type of opponent, but he knows he will have to try his hardest. Stepping into the arena, facing down Hit, sweat dripping from his face as he is very nervous. This is his first opponent, but he isn't gonna let all that training he did go to waste. Not wanting to play around, he powers up, revealing his god form. His parents were shocked to see the power their son has obtained, but still were very worried about him. He got in his fighting stance ready to face off Hit. The match would start as Trunks would start off with shooting ki blasts from afar to keep his distance, but that would prove futile as Hit would just dodge all the attacks. Trunks would rush at Hit, but this would allow him to use his time skip ability to strike Trunks, setting him back. He knows he isn't strong enough to break the time barrier, but he then thinks of something. Kaba, seeing a Saiyan much stronger than him at such a young age, ignites something in him while he watches Trunks fight. Trunks would rush at Hit once more, but this time having 2 fingers to his head. He would activate the time skip heading towards Trunks, but suddenly, Trunks would just disappear, causing Hit to lose focus on the time skip, as he doesn't know where Trunks went, but suddenly he would be struck by Trunks. Trunks cheered with landing a blow, and almost everyone was impressed, including Hit. Sadly, this would be a one-time thing, with Hit prepping for it the next time, as this fight would end quickly with the next time skip Hit uses to knock out Trunks completely, but he does give props to the young fighter for outsmarting him. Next was Vegeta. Knowing what he is up against, he doesn't hold back, going full power from the start, showing off his new transformation, a combination of his Super Saiyan 4 transformation and his training with the gods, and gaining God Ki, he was able to form a power beyond Super Saiyan 4, powering up into his new form, Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker. Seeing how strong Vegeta has gotten, Raditz knows he has to continue his training to catch up to him. The fight begins as Vegeta with a cocky smirk rushes at Hit. Hit would just activate his time skip, but is shocked with what he is seeing. Vegeta completely breaking through the time skip, moving at normal speed, as he begins wailing on Hit without pulling any punches. The constant training he has done with Broly for almost 2 years shows huge benefits with the amount of strength he has gained. With this form, it led him beating Hit rather easily, knocking him out of the arena and winning the tournament for Universe 7. The group would cheer as Beerus would wish for Universe 6's Earth to be restored as normal, as Zeno would appear scaring the 2 gods. Zeno warned them of this tournament, but he did enjoy the fight, seeing many strong fighters, and even thought about having a tournament with all the universes. But here, no one would openly say about starting one like with what Goku did. Zeno would just leave as everyone would return to their universe, seeing what other universe could be capable of. This motivates everyone to continue on their training to grow to new heights. With the amount of people that know the instant transmission, or Kai Kai, everyone would train on Beerus' planet. Where we last left off, Vegeta showed off his new transformation that allowed him to beat Hit and win the tournament for Universe 7. They had a visit from Lord Zeno as he brought up the idea of a tournament with all the other universes. With this idea in mind, all the Z fighters began training on Beerus' planet. Tien, Piccolo, and Gohan all trained together, meanwhile Raditz and Vegeta trained together, and with Broly training with Trunks. As you can tell, the groups are made here based on the path of power that they were all obtaining. Sometimes during their training, Gohan, Broly, and Vegeta would spar to see who is currently the strongest, and it's always between Broly or Gohan, due to their potential, leaving Vegeta always in 3rd place, but this would just motivate him further to grow even stronger. Now here, the Goku Black arc just wouldn't happen, with the main fact that there was no time travel at all in this timeline. Here, Goku died of the heart virus, but thanks to Gohan, he was able to stop the androids here, and save Earth without the need to travel back in time. Even if the fact that Zamasu could still hate mortals, especially that of Universe 7 for gaining the power of the gods, I think his hatred for them would be a lot less with the fact that no one messed with time travel here, which I would believe that at least for the time being Zamasu would not start his Zero Mortal plan. Even if he did in this timeline, he would be stopped rather easily, as he would most likely take Vegeta's body, seeing that he seemed the strongest at the tournament between Universe 6 and 7, but he would then be easily stopped by all the fighters on Beerus' planet, and the fact that there are 2 people stronger than him and there's only one Zamasu here. So really either it wouldn't happen or he wouldn't even be a threat for our fighters. So for the time being of not being interrupted, they would all continue to train vigorously until one day Beerus and Whis are called to be notified about the Tournament of Power and how they have 2 days to come up with a team of 10 members to participate. At first Beerus wasn't too worried as he already had 7 fighters on his planet, and then they thought about bringing Nappa. Here though, they are aware of the threat of what would happen if they lost the tournament, so they wanted the strongest fighters, but with the members of the Galactic Patrol and the 3 other fighters on Earth, that being Yamcha, Krillin, and Roshi, they were very outclassed, and Yamcha and Krillin fully gave up fighting. Raditz then got the idea as he went to Whis for a request. Together they left, leaving the others confused, but coming back a day later with 2 fighters, as they are all completely shocked and everyone made silent. Gohan couldn't believe his eyes as he saw his father standing next to Whis. After not seeing him since he was a child, he rushed over to hug his father, shedding tears down his face. But he also saw someone that resembled his father, as it was his grandfather, Bardock. Trunks was stunned as well, as here this is his first time seeing his uncle Goku and grandfather Bardock, only ever hearing stories about them from his father. Raditz gave the idea to Whis, asking if they could bring anyone who is dead, and with Whis being the angel of the universe and with the current situation, he could bend some rules of the other world. They teleported to the other world looking for Goku. He knew his brother, even being dead, would be still training. He was no doubt right, but what he wasn't expecting was who he was training with, that being their father Bardock. During this time being dead, Goku explored everywhere in Otherworld, and with the years he has been there, he would have met his true parents, Bardock and Guinan. They all had their family reunion that even left Raditz to tears. Goku explained how he saw everything that everyone has been doing, and he's always gained the urge to train, and when he found their parents, he began training with Bardock. Together, they pushed each other and grew immensely with the years they had. They mastered Super Saiyan 2 and 3, and even attained Super Saiyan 4 when they saw them achieve it when they trained with Nappa. Goku was interested in the god power, but couldn't really learn it himself, so he settled on Super Saiyan 4. Raspa spent time with his family, and after spending a time together all for around a whole day, that is when Whis would bring the 3 back. Now having a full team, they still had a day left, so they decided to spend it training and forming a plan, with Gohan being the leader, and still being as smart as he is, he would form a well thought out plan, splitting their team into small groups based on good teamwork skills. Tien and Piccolo, since they have been training together for years, Raditz and Trunks being the father-son duo, and the same with Goku and Bardock as they spent years together in the other world. Vegeta and Nappa more for their similar transformation, leaving Gohan and Broly to be the wildcards, as they won't be in a group but will be hopping around groups or be on their own. Vegeta did not like the plan, as he did want to have a challenge with Broly seeing who could take down more fighters, but he kept to himself, as here everything is at stake and he won't let his pride take over. Remember, this Vegeta was raised by Namekians most of his life. The time came to the Tournament of Power, as everyone was ready and prepared for this fight. Once the tournament started, the group split up with their duo. Here the team being very different, but no doubt a much stronger team overall compared to the canon version of the Universe 7 team. Another plus around this tournament is that Universe 7 is not targeted by the other universes, which will be big for them. Everyone is holding their own pretty easily, trying to save energy, well, besides most of the Saiyans excluding Nappa, Raditz, and Trunks. However, there will be one downside to our fighters being much stronger this time around, with that being Jiren joining in to fight a lot sooner. I can see Goku wanting to try to face Jiren, but would struggle to keep up with him, and easily be put aside as Jiren wasn't interested in him, but actually Broly, knowing that he is the strongest from Universe 7, as a battle between the two begins. With Tien and Piccolo, they are met with both the Namekians and Saiyans from Universe 6. Kaba wanted to catch up with his mentor Piccolo, and the Namekians were interested in this Namekian from another universe. Here, Piccolo would have his hands full with somewhat taking the place of Goku teaching these Saiyans the Super Saiyan transformation with the knowledge he has. With the amount of fighters around them, both Tien and Piccolo both go to their strongest transformation. The Namekians from Universe 6 would be taken out rather easily, but Kel and Caulifla would fuse into Kefla, and this fusion is so strong that Piccolo and Tien would need to work together to beat this fusion. With Raditz and Trunks together, they have been fighting together and took most of the fighters from Universe 4, and thought it was a bit too easy, until Raditz let his guard down, allowing Daemon, the small insect fighter from Universe 4, knocking Raditz out of the arena and eliminating him. Seeing what he is up against, Trunks regained his focus, to watch out for this small fighter. He closed his eyes using the ki he sensed from Daemon, getting the sense of where he is, and Trunks would shoot multiple ki blasts, destroying the arena and knocking Daemon out. He grew a bit worried about being alone as he tried to regroup with anyone from his universe, but then he would be met with Frost. With Bardock and Goku, together they were managing to take out a full universe on their own with ease. The father-son bond they formed with the many years they have trained together in the other world, they formed a good bond and worked well as a team. Nothing would be a problem for them until they are both hit by a fast purple blur that they barely are able to see who hit them. With Nappa and Vegeta, they were causing huge problems for the other universes with how strong the two are, until someone would step up to them, that being Toppo from Universe 11. Vegeta smiled at the opponent, sensing how strong he is. Seeing how powerful Vegeta and Nappa are, he doesn't hold back, tapping into his God of Destruction form as their fight begins. Gohan would see how Broly is struggling a bit with Jiren, so he would try to help him, but before he could manage to get there, he is then struck and sent flying away. Getting up seeing Hit, he remembers seeing him back in the tournament between Universe 6 and 7, so he knows how powerful this opponent is, especially with his special ability. Back to Trunks, he is facing Frost, but he looks very different than what he remembers, as currently Frost is in his final form. Trunks didn't understand why he looked different, but he can tell he is much stronger than what he was back the first time they met. Powering up into his Super Saiyan God form, he didn't let his guard down, knowing the tricks he did to Tien last time. They started to fight, but surprisingly Trunks was handling Frost rather easily. Frost was growing upset by being bitten by a kid. Seeing how angry he was getting, Trunks took it to his advantage, beating him more and more and then throwing him out of the arena, continuing to try to find someone as he ended up finding Gohan facing Hit, as he joined in with him trying to fight Hit. Tien and Piccolo facing Kefla was rather difficult for them even with the two together. They are barely on equal standings with her. They started using more combo moves to try to best her, which was their only advantage against her. Even with their resourceful skills to use against her, it was still a tough battle. Knowing they can't use up all their energy on her, they came up with a plan. Piccolo charged up a Hellzone grenade, surrounding Kefla with Ki Blast. Tien then released a Solar Flare, blinding Kefla, as she is then hit with the Hellzone grenade. Taking this chance while she is stunned, Tien would charge up at her, bringing both of them out of the arena, knocking them out. Piccolo was pretty exhausted as Kappa came up to him not trying to fight, but to ask for a favor. Asking Piccolo if his universe would win, could they bring back his universe? The bond Piccolo formed with Kaba, he made that promise as he had a connection with Kaba, especially after meeting the other Saiyans and Namekians. Piccolo and Kaba would spar, but eventually Kaba would be eliminated. Back to Vegeta and Toppo, their fight rages on, to the point that Toppo did knock Nappa out. Vegeta was struggling a bit facing Toppo with his God Destruction form. Vegeta did decide to push himself even further, as during the time training on Beerus' planet, he reached a new level of power, but he was a bit weary of using it as it does take a toll on his body. But with what is at risk, he had to do it. He powers up further past his Super Saiyan 4 Limit Breaker form as a blue aura covers his body, powering up into Super Saiyan 4 Blue, keeping the look of his Super Saiyan 4 look with the color of blue, combining both forms of power. With his new power, he easily began changing the tide of the battle as he began toying with Toppo. The pressure emitting from Vegeta was so strong that many fighters who were weak easily fell off the arena. Bardock and Goku were facing up against Dispo. Even with all the training they have done, they still struggle with keeping up with how fast Dispo is. They knew that they were much more stronger than him, but still, it was a struggle and were even growing tired. If they were at full energy, they could have easily taken down Dispo, but that is when they heard Beerus yelling at them as he throws them some earrings, the same ones that Universe 6 Saiyans were using. Quickly, without hesitation, they put on the earrings, fusing it to Barla, and this new strength, they grew powerful enough to catch up in speed with Dispo. Being able to catch up with him, the fight ended quickly, with knocking Dispo out of the arena. They then looked to see the immense fight happening between Broly, Vegeta, and Jiren. Barla would then see Gohan fighting Hit alone as Trunks was knocked out. They didn't decide to help, knowing that Gohan could easily defeat Hit on his own. The sense of seeing how strong his son/grandson became, both Goku and Bardock felt proud of their family. Gohan was just in his mystic form fighting against Hit, not wanting to exhaust himself, but seeing Hit's time skip ability firsthand, he knew he couldn't hold back much longer, so he powered up to his beast form, and the next time Hit used his time skip ability, he managed to break through and easily took Hit out of the arena. With the last fighter against Universe 7 is Jiren here, as he's in his full power form, fighting both Broly and Vegeta in their strongest form. Even though no one here has obtained Ultra Instinct, the amount of strength that both Broly and Vegeta has can easily overpower Jiren, especially with the two working together. They would have rather to fight him one-on-one, but with everything at stake, they did not want to take that chance. They take a stance together, similar to what Goku and Frieza did in canon, first being enemies into rivals and now even good friends. Together they rush at Jiren, hitting him with a flurry of combos, sending Jiren flying, as together they both charge up a Gallic gun, shooting it at him full power, and the attack sends Jiren flying out of the arena, and even destroying most of the arena. Universe 7 has won with half of their team still remaining. The Grand Priest would ask what their wish would be, and everyone would be happy to wish back all the other universes, which puts a smile on the Grand Priest's face, and everyone would end up returning back to their universe. The day passed for both Bardock and Goku would be finished, as the Sun family is sad to see them go, but Whis would tap Goku's head, bringing him back to life, this surprising everyone, and they were happy that Goku would be staying. Whis would offer the same to Bardock and his wife, but he would decline the offer, saying that they have lived their lives. But thanks Whis for bringing their son back to life. Now with Goku back to life, he would spend time with his family, and no doubt Chi-Chi is glad to have her husband back after so many years, as now things being normal, everyone would live out their lives and continue training, as Goku knows he has a lot to catch up on. After the Tournament of Power, our fighters decided to continue their training on Beerus' planet, and not long after, Goku was joining in after spending some much needed time with Chi-Chi, to the point where they will be having another child coming soon. Goku was pretty far behind in power, being only stronger than Nappa and on par with Tien and Piccolo, mainly with the fact that he is not used to having a living body once again. It has been years where he did not have to worry about pushing his limits since his dead body didn't grow tired. So now with having to catch up, he also has to get used to feeling fatigued as well. Things would be normal with everyone just training on Beerus' planet until one day Nappa would end up arriving on the planet with Jaco and a silent Galactic Patrol member, but he would remain quiet the entire time as he just locked eyes with Whis, and we know him to be Beerus. Nappa would tell the others that a dangerous universal threat prisoner escaped one of their prisons and they needed their help with taking him down. They wanted Majin Buu, but Gohan did state how he beat Majin Buu many years ago. Nappa explained how Moro works with his magical abilities that allow him to consume the life force of planets and people to grow in power. Vegeta would just smirk, saying that he has the perfect technique to stop this foe. Finally, he felt a bit of pride knowing possibly only he can stop this threat. Remember, here in this timeline, Vegeta did train on Yardred and learned all the special techniques where he was looking for his brother. Everyone will go to face this threat, even though that would be a bit overkill, but I mean, this is a big threat to the entire universe. Now here, Moro would be on his own again, as many parts back, Broly and Nappa did finish off any surviving Frieza army members, so Moro would not have any help, and also not know about the Dragon Balls or Namek. So he would just venture to nearby planets to absorb its energy, and he would be on his third planet by the time the Z Fighters arrive. Knowing how Moro's power worked, Vegeta himself would travel down to the planet first, and once he diffused all the power that Moro absorbed, then that is when another fighter would travel down and take him down. Now things would play very easily here, Vegeta landing on the planet and finding Moro, using Force Spirit Fission to depower Moro, making him much more weaker, and when he gets to the point where he is no longer a threat, then either Broly or Gohan can finish him off completely, or Moro is back in prison rather quickly. Moro, without knowing about the Dragon Balls, he would be very weak compared to his canon counterpart, as he would need to absorb a lot of planets to get to his prime version. Even then, if Moro did know about the Dragon Balls, here with this Vegeta already knowing Force Spirit Fission, Moro's power wouldn't stay very long, and not taking into account that everyone here is much stronger than their manga counterpart. So Moro is just very unlucky here. It's pretty insane how easily they are avoiding big enemies in this timeline, and no one here has either Ultra Instinct or Ultra Ego. They are all just that strong. With that threat dealt with rather easily, they would all continue to train on Beerus' planet, and in terms of Ultra Ego, I don't see anyone obtaining this form. I mean, don't get me wrong, we got plenty of people that would be good candidates for this form like Broly, Vegeta, and Gohan, but with no one obtaining Ultra Instinct, I don't see Beerus ever attempting to give a hint to another form of power to the Z Fighters. Even then, they continue to grow stronger even without those transformations or techniques. On the other hand though, with Ultra Instinct, Whis thus has two potential candidates to obtain the form, one being Goku, but currently he is a bit behind, but the other who could be close to obtaining the form would be Tien. Call me crazy, but with this team of Z Fighters, he is honestly the best person that would have a chance with learning this technique. Broly and Gohan's main force of power comes from their rage. Vegeta could work, but his pride would be his downfall, and here I think he would pass on the technique, as he would want his own form of power to catch up with Broly and Gohan. Trunks is obviously too young, Raditz doesn't possess the same amount of drive to grow stronger compared to Tien and Goku, and Piccolo here isn't exactly fully calm in mind. I mean, don't get me wrong in this, Piccolo is still somewhat good, but what he lacks a lot is that the character development he got with Gohan back in the Saiyan Saga. That bonding connection and that whole interaction just doesn't exist. Piccolo is a lot more neutral in this standpoint, not being a good or bad guy, but Whis would believe that he would be a good candidate to be a god of destruction because of his neutral standpoint. With Tien, he definitely has the drive and the calmness in mind to learn Ultra Instinct. The only thing holding him back is the fact that he doesn't have the same amount of potential as a Saiyan, so his rate of growth would be slow, but it is getting there to the point where he could be close to tapping into Ultra Instinct, at least the signed version. Now a few months would pass on again as the events of the Broly movie wouldn't happen for obvious reasons, And for the Granola arc, that wouldn't really happen either. I see that in the Granola arc tends to almost never happen in my what ifs. I mean, it makes sense that the arc mainly happens for two reasons. The previous events of the Moro arc, as the healers gain info from the corpse of Andriod 7-3, who was released by Moro, which doesn't happen here, as the entire Moro arc was pretty much prevented, and also the resurrection of Frieza after the Tournament of Power, which also didn't happen here in this timeline of events. Without the knowledge of the Dragon Balls and the fact that there are Saiyans still alive, our Z fighters have no way to get involved with the heaters or Granola, so the entire issue wouldn't be their problem, or at least not until later if they ever cross paths. With Granola, it would most likely play out with Granola continuing to work under the heaters until eventually Granola takes down the heaters or they take out Granola. But either way, it doesn't affect our main group as things will remain peaceful, or so they think. In less than 2 years' time, a threat will appear that will be something that they wouldn't ever expect or be ready for. On Earth, in a hidden lab that was never destroyed in this timeline, a villain we all know far too well has been growing for the last 2 decades, gathering various amounts of data of all the fighters that have ever landed on Earth, growing stronger by the minute as he was soon ready to be released. As we left off at the last part, things continue to be peaceful with our Z fighters easily taking down Moro without much struggle, and the entire Granola Saga was just not important to our main group. They would continue to live their lives and train on Beerus' planet for around 2 more years until Cell would finally awaken. In Jiro's hidden lab, Cell would finally be ready as he grew out of his pod, but there had been a few changes about his looks. He was not in his first form, but already in his perfected form without needing the androids, with the help of the DNA collected from Majin Buu, as he did have the ability to alter his looks, so with that, Cell managed to appear in his perfected form, with the 2 decades of being incubated allowing him to grow to his fullest potential. Plus, I would believe that Dr. Gero would have some sort of way that even after his death, Cell would be able to collect more data until he was fully released. This would have Cell collect DNA of our Z fighters, Majin Buu, BROLY, and yes, even worse, with the DNA of all these fighters, Cell would be much more powerful than what he was. Now you all may be wondering about Dr. Hito or Magenta in this timeline. Well, I do believe this time around they wouldn't really be of big importance. The androids did technically accomplish the plans of Dr. Gero with killing Goku. Well, he was already dead. But also the androids took over the planet for a while until they were killed off by Gohan. But a big thing is that the spawn of Cell and his defeat was never really known worldwide, which meant the world does not know about the Z fighters or how they look. This is important as it leaves Magenta not knowing who to truly target at this point, and not know how the Z fighters are connected to Capsule Corp, leading to not having interest into fighting Dr. Hito, as currently they have no reason to create more androids or even a story to trick Hito into making more androids. So the remainder of the Red Ribbon Army would just stay hidden and Dr. Hito would remain in prison. With Cell breaking out of his containment, his ki was so immense that the entire planet Earth was able to feel the change in pressure, and our Z fighters all felt the ki from Beerus' planet, as they all felt each other's keys on Earth, and even felt Beerus's. Beerus grew a bit confused on this as he demanded everyone to quickly head to Earth, with Beerus and Whis following close. The Z fighters arrived on Earth quickly all around the area nearby the hidden lab. A huge explosion erupted that caught the attention of the Z fighters as they all headed over to the crater to see Cell. They were all shocked to see how strong Cell was. This Cell just smirked, seeing all the Z fighters here, but his main focus was Goku, as Jiro's main plan was still to kill Son Goku. Now, it has been 2 years since we last saw the Z fighters, and 2 years of heavy training with everyone on Beerus' planet, and nothing really disrupted their training. They all grew very strong. Both Goku and Tien learned the technique of Ultra Instinct, and Goku is managing to catch up with the strongest fighters, as with Ultra Instinct, he was getting close to fighting for 3rd place with Vegeta, and only being weaker than Broly and Gohan. Cell is pretty different, as here he wanted to fight Goku right away, with having DNA from someone like Broly, so he would rush over to Goku so fast that the others did not even see him. Goku would be sent flying and crashing into a mountain. He quickly got up and powered up into his Super Saiyan 4 blue form to fight back against Cell. Their fight can be felt throughout most of the universe. With all the training that Goku has been going through the past 2 years, and with his strongest transformation, he is barely holding on his own with Cell, being slightly stronger than him. And with having the DNA of Broly, Cell is growing stronger the more he is fighting with Goku, but at a slower rate than Broly. With Cell, he would want to enjoy the fight. The other Z fighters would want to aid Goku, but he would reject the help as he also wanted a real fight as he never has gotten one in a long time. The others did not plan to listen to him as they did not want to risk anything. Everyone would rush at Cell. This made Cell very upset, powering up slightly with enough pressure to push everyone back, as Cell would quickly rush over to the weakest fighters of the group to knock him out, gut punching Raditz, Trunks, Piccolo, and Tien all in under a second. His punch rendered them all down for the count, all passing out besides Tien, as he barely stayed conscious. Vegeta, Broly, and Gohan all rushed at Cell. With the combined force, they were managing to overpower him, Broly even landing a devastating blow as it heavily damaged Cell. They thought they got him? Cell just smiled as his healing capabilities are arguably better in this timeline thanks to the DNA of Buu. And with the Saiyan DNA, he obtained a Zenkai growing even stronger than before. Seeing that he needed to be stronger, Cell began charging up his ki as the earth was starting to shake as he powers up, revealing a new form inspired by the god form of the Saiyan, revealing a red form for Cell, something like Cell Max. Goku sensed how powerful Cell was and knew what was needed. He asked the three to stall Cell while he needed some time to focus. Goku would find Tien as he was still recovering from the heavy blow from Cell, as they needed to focus their minds and tap into Ultra Instinct, as this may be their only way to beat Cell. Back with the three fighting Cell, the battle was intense, as with this new form of Cell, potentially with God Ki, he was easily dealing with the three Saiyans, even to the extent that Gohan's beast form was reaching its limits. Luckily for them, Vegeta does have his healing ability, so when either Broly or Gohan is down, he would heal them, as he did for the other three fighters previously taken down by Cell. However, he couldn't be doing it forever, as it does take energy from him to continuously heal everyone, but it was important as Piccolo could greatly help them stop Cell. So altogether, they began rushing to fight Cell, and Piccolo will reveal a new transformation he gained during the 2 years. Back in the last part when I explained how Whis believed that Piccolo had potential to be the next candidate of being the God of Destruction, he would actually begin his training for the role. Under that training, he learned a new transformation that Toppo did back in the Tournament of Power, gaining a God of Destruction form. Piccolo grew in size, gaining a purple aura, and a red symbol on his chest that resembles that of Beerus' clothing. Piccolo would charge up an attack filled with Destruction Ki, and shot right at it towards Cell. Not knowing what it is, he deflected it as if it was nothing, which completely shocked Piccolo as the attack should have erased Cell the moment he touched it. Piccolo tries to keep a straight face knowing exactly what the case is. Cell has DNA and info on Destruction Ki, meaning he may have it himself, but since the Ki most likely is very unknown with the info that Dr. Gero had, Cell doesn't know he has Destroyer energy or know how to use it. Using telepathy, Piccolo would warn everyone on his theory, which makes this foe even more dangerous. Learning this, however, just motivated both Broly and Vegeta to try harder to best Cell, as together they would rush him down. Vegeta had to rely on his techniques he learned from Yardrat, like the cloning technique and instant transmission to try to best Cell, as he was growing in power the longer he was fighting, and was stronger than Vegeta already. Broly with his potential allowed him to keep up with Cell, but even for him, it was difficult to keep growing in power to be on par with Cell. Cell would slam Broly down shooting multiple ki blasts, which heavily damaged him. Broly was really hurt, but he began getting angry. Throughout most of his life, he was always the strongest out of anyone, and when there was someone stronger than him, his pride and ego was hurt, as he began to get angrier by the second. Cell manages to knock away everyone, only leaving Piccolo. Cell was interested in this form that Piccolo has, as it's not in his data that he has access to. Then, appeared behind him was Goku and Tien, both in their mastered Ultra Instinct state. The fight between the four started and already felt like the planet was going to break. And that would be the case until Whis and Beerus arrived on the planet, and Whis would use his staff to form a barrier between the four fighters. Beerus was pretty upset about having his DNA stolen and was thinking about just using the Hakai to erase Cell, but he wanted to see what the Z fighters could do after all their training. As the fight rages on, the fighters began to grow tired the longer they fought. They weren't sure how much longer they could keep at it, as Ultra Instinct wasn't something Goku or Tien could keep activated forever. Cell began turning the tide of the battle as he started to deal with the four of them easily. Piccolo grew tired as he was about to attempt to replicate the Hakai that Beerus was teaching him. He rushes over to Cell, grabbing a hold of his arm as he would perform the Hakai hand sign. Cell would yell out in pain as Piccolo did think it worked, but Cell managed to survive the attack, to the shock of Piccolo. Cell began to beat on Piccolo repeatedly until Broly yelled out as a huge surge of blue aura covered the entire planet. His scream of pure anger was heard as he reached a new height of power. Broly tapped into the Super Saiyan 4 blue form. During the 2-year time skip, Vegeta was trying to teach Broly the form, even though Broly wasn't so sure, as he thinks he would lose control, but Vegeta insisted, mainly because he wanted the challenge and to be on equal standing transformation wise with his rival. During the 2 years, he only tapped into the form once, and it was very bad, with almost everyone on Beerus' planet having to work together to stop him. Broly thought the form was too dangerous and didn't want to use it again, but with their current situation, it called for it. He rushed at Cell, grabbing his head and slamming him down into Earth as he began throwing heavy punches that each created a massive crater deeper into the Earth. With the free time, Tien, Goku, and Piccolo tried to come up with a plan to take out Cell. Knowing Cell's healing abilities, they know they would have to use every ounce of power they have to make sure he cannot heal up once again, and they will need everyone's help. Cell began fighting back with BROLY as they emerged back to the surface. Cell prepared an attack to shoot at BROLY while he was down, until Tien would try to go all out, using a solar flare which catches Cell off guard and blinds him. But Tien wouldn't have much time, so quickly he powers up, shooting strong tri-beams repeatedly, each stronger than the last, and the attacks were hurting Cell severely as Cell was slammed into the ground. Then both Goku and Piccolo would rush at Cell together, landing a heavy combo and end up sending Cell flying into the air as they both would charge up their respective blasts, but Cell managed to recover fast enough to hold off the attack. Tien would join as well, trying to help out, as Piccolo would telepathically tell the others to give them the rest of their energy. As they did so, it managed to push Cell back a bit, but it still wasn't enough. BROLY would arrive, powering up and shooting a full power Gallic gun, and with his aid they were very close, but still needed one last push. Vegeta would then give out a speech, a mixture of the speech when he admitted Goku was number one, and the speech he made in the Tournament of Power about Goku, but this time around towards BROLY, admitting that after everything they went through, he enjoyed BROLY as his rival, as they pushed each other to a new height. And at this point, he wasn't mad anymore about being replaced by BROLY, as he sees how he is worthy of the mantle of Prince of all Saiyans, as he sees BROLY as his brother. Vegeta yells out that they can't give up, mainly giving the motivational speech about Saiyans to BROLY, and with one final push, they finally managed to overpower Cell and completely overpower him, as Cell was completely erased. They all powered down, collapsing as they were exhausted. BROLY looked over at Vegeta, giving him a thumbs up, as the speech he made helped, but we would look over as Beerus had his hand up, giving some of his energy to the others, as Whis would laugh, but Beerus grew angry, demanding that Whis would not say a word of this. And that's going to leave it off for this series. Tell me how y'all think about the finale and how it did with the Perfect Being Saga. What do y'all think about the entire story as a whole? I like how the group overall is a lot stronger than their canon selves, and how everyone did train together a lot more. And honestly, currently, I would think this is my strongest What If universe, or at least a contender with my GT What If. Next What If would be What If Goku married Launch. If y'all are interested and enjoy, please leave a like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be alerted whenever I post another part. Hope to see y'all there, and thank y'all so much for watching and all the support of this series, and I will see y'all in the next series. See ya.